Hi everyone, I am Dr. Vijay Bhaskar Reddy, so Associate Professor, Department of Chemistry. I am handling environmental science subject for you. Today we are going to discuss about the topic is the biodiversity and biotic resources. Biodiversity and biotic resources. So the overview of the today topics is the types of the biodiversities, how many types are there biodiversities, that biodiversity, what are the values are giving, that values of the biodiversity we discussed. And the third topic also we discussed the threats to the biodiversity. What are the threats to the biodiversity? So first one, what is the biodiversity? So biodiversity means this biodiversity is a combination of the two words. One is the mentioned is the biological and diversity. So this diversity or variation on the variety of the life on the earth is called the biodiversity. So simply say a large number of living things that exist in a certain area, either air, water or soil, whatever place. So a large number of living things, either plants, animals, microorganisms, whatever living organisms will be exist in that a particular area, either water area or soil area or land, water, air, whatever place, whatever area, that is called the biodiversity. So this biodiversity means variability or variety. A different species or different ecosystems will be exist in that particular area. Simply mentioned as the biodiversity. So now coming to the what are the classifications or the types of the biodiversity. So generally there are three types of the biodiversity will be there. Basically considered as the three different levels of the biodiversity. First one is the genetic biodiversity. Second one is the species diverse biodiversity. And the third one is the ecosystem biodiversity. Now coming to the genetic diversity, genetic biodiversity. So means in the name itself is there. Genetic biodiversity means that diversity or variation is coming based on the genes within the species. So means genetic variation is coming. So that biodiversity is called the genetic biodiversity. So generally here the genetic variability among the population, whatever the population, living organisms like plants, animals, microorganisms, algae, fungi, bacteria, whatever living organisms, that genetic variation is coming, that classified under the category of the genetic biodiversity. For example, here I will take the two examples of plants. For example, Andrographis genus, Andrographis. In this Andrographis, nearly there are 30 species will be available in India. Genus will be Andrographis, but nearly 30 species are available in India. For example, I wrote the two species, Andrographis paniculata, and the second one is the Andrographis elongata. For example, elongata. The species will be different. Both species are different, but genus will be same, but the species will be different. But these two species giving the chemical energy sources also different. Maybe due to the reason of the either internal environmental parameters or climatic conditions, and whatever the biosynthetic pathway different, or whatever the genetic variation is coming inside the plant. But genus will be same, plants are different, but chemical are produced also entirely different. So that one of the example, that one is coming to the category of the genetic variation. Is a species diversity means diversity among the species in an ecosystem. So like the best example for the biodiversity hotspots. Biodiversity hotspots is the excellent example for the is a species biodiversity. So third one is the ecosystem diversity. So whatever that this diversity will be higher level in the organization of the ecosystems. There are different types of ecosystem is there. Is a forest ecosystem, desert ecosystem, is a terrestrial ecosystem, aquatic ecosystem. That aquatic ecosystem will be further classified in the lentic, lotic. So these are all ecosystems will be at a higher level is a diversity is coming. Is the higher level is a diversity is coming. That is coming under the category of the ecosystem diversity. It concerns the variety of the ecosystems on the earth. First we go for the genetic diversity. So in this we already discussed that one is the diversity or variation is coming variation of genes within the species is called the genetic variation is coming. So genetic, for example, here the lot of pictures are showing the only variation of the genes. For example, here the mentioned is example in human species, genetic variation between the Indian and African. For example, genetic variation within a population. So within the Indian population itself is the genetic variation is there. So it can be seen in simple terms, genetic matter is dictates whether the person having the blue or white color or eyes blue or skin is black. These are all will be dictate or influencing the genetic variation only. So for example, is a black color or tall or short, whatever these are all are coming to the is a genetic diversity. So the genetic diversity is identified is the losing the based on the DNA other techniques. So here is the, for example, here is the different population will be variation is coming to the this one, and one of the example taken from the corn, and another one is the different color and change eyes and change is the one of this one in this cat animals. And genetic diversity is another example also given. This one is the one of the brinjal, BT brinjal. So here the BT brinjal is genetically modified eggplant. So that will be containing the a gene is isolated from the soil bacterium that is the Bacillus thuringiensis. From that bacteria, one of the gene will be isolated. That gene will be introduced in the brinjal plant. So what is the purpose why we are introducing that gene into the brinjal plant? So means once that protein, whatever gene will be introduced in the brinjal plant, so whatever that gene or protein will be kills the fruit and shoots or borer pest in that plant. So means protection of that gene from the kills fruit and shoot borer pest. So that gene will be killed that one. So that's why the first BT brinjal is the genetically modified crop, agriculture crop, engineering agriculture crop is the farmers in a developing country. So means here the once the gene will be introduced, that is the very whatever purpose, either protection purpose or temperature purpose or yield purpose, whatever purpose, that gene will be producing the variation. So that is called the genetic variation. So here is the lot of examples are given for the genetic, whatever the applications, what are the uses of the genetic diversity. So for example, in the ecosystem stability, first one mentioned the ecosystem stability. So genetic diversity is important for the ecosystem resilience and function. So for example, here is the food production. Nowadays we are taking the lot of genetically modified food. So lot of genes will be modified and food are coming into the market for the food production. So means that will be protection from the either heat or temperature or some of the pest or whatever weeds from the control that one. So genetic diversity is used to plant breeding is the develop new crops, improved yields, nutritional quality and tolerance to the stress. So tolerance to the stress means either temperature, heat conditions also or climatic conditions also, that will be survive and produce the more yield. So that is the food production point of view. So pest and disease resistance. So means once that whatever genes will be introduced in that food items, so that will be helpful to the resist to the diseases, also control to the diseases. Adaptation and environmental change. For example, some climatic conditions, some food items will be not growing. So means that will be temperature, either heat. So that temperature not grown properly. So means once the gene modification will be takes place, so that adapted that system, that environmental conditions. So that is called the adaptation environmental change. So means that gene modification is adaptation to the environmental conditions at the temperature or rainy seasons or whatever heat conditions. That conditions will be adapted and grow and giving the yields. So that is the adaptation to the environmental change. So nearly in the last one mentioned is the one estimate that there are 1,000 crores different genes are distributed across the world biota. So biota means is the plants, animals, microorganisms in that all estimated that one of the report 1,000 crores of different genes will be identified in the world of the biota. Now coming to the species diversity. The species diversity means already is the diversity coming among the species. So diversity is coming among the species. So diversity among the species is called the species diversity. So species diversity simply say that is the richness species. So more species will be available in that ecosystem. So then only is the species diversity is coming. So generally this will be measured. Species diversity will be measured in the form of the number of species in a region. For example, if you take the one of the forest ecosystem, in that forest ecosystem, how many lions are there, how many tigers are there, how many birds, whatever, these are all will be calculated. Number of species will be calculated in that particular area. They calculate. So based on the number, that ecosystem or diversity is called the species diversity. So there are two popular indices generally used for the measuring this species diversity. Those are called the Shannon-Weiner index and Simpson index. So these will be are called the species diversity. Now coming to the ecosystem diversity. Ecosystem diversity means mostly it will be happen in the higher level of the organization. In the ecosystem. So it concerns the variety of the ecosystems on the earth. So ecosystem diversity, a difference between the ecosystem types. So because is the there are different types of ecosystems are there. For example, is the aquatic ecosystem. Aquatic ecosystem is the based on the freshwater ecosystem or marine water ecosystem. Freshwater ecosystem will be further classified in the two categories. One is the lentic and lotic. Marine water ecosystem is mostly based on the salinity will be there. So more salinity will be there. Freshwater ecosystem is the salinity will be very less. In that regions is the whatever animals, plants, microorganisms, algae, fungi will be growing in that area only, not growing like that one. For example, is the marine ecosystem is not growing in the freshwater ecosystem because is the salinity will be very less. That conditions will be not growing that one. So that's why is the different ecosystems between the diversity is coming. That is called the ecosystem diversity. So this ecosystem will be very difficult to measure because why difficult to measure means here is the boundaries of various sub ecosystems will be overlapping. So for example, is the aquatic ecosystem will be overlapping with the terrestrial ecosystem. Terrestrial ecosystem means desert ecosystem, pond, whatever. So that will be overlapping with the aquatic ecosystem. We cannot measured accurately. So that's why this ecosystem diversity is difficult to measure because the boundaries of the different ecosystems will be overlapping. So that is the major reason. Here is the grassland ecosystem, river ecosystem, whatever, these are all will be overlapping. Serene ecosystem, freshwater ecosystem, marine water ecosystem, these are all will be overlapping very close. So that's why very difficult to measure this type of diversity. Now coming to what are the values of the diversity? What are the values are giving to the diversity? So here there are different types of the values will be giving the diversity: survival, health and healing, food security, productive value, ethical value, aesthetic value, ecological services. There are different values we are getting from the biodiversity. So we can discuss one by one elaborately. First one is the first value of the biodiversity. What is the value of biodiversity? In the terms of generally we measured either commercially usable or ecological services are giving or social or aesthetic value are giving. In terms of that only we can taking from the biodiversity. There are biodiversity where are forms of the valuable to the humans. So here we go for the slide. The first value is the consumptive value. Consumptive value simply say whatever the biodiversities are giving different products that will be consumed by the human beings. That is called the consumptive value. For example, here under the consumptive value, a lot of examples are there, but I am presenting some of the examples here. Is the diversities are giving valuable different products ecosystems. Like the first one, food. Food is an essential requirement for the maintenance of the global food supply. So for example, is the all plants, animals and fishes, whatever, these are all the food items are coming from the different biodiversities or ecosystems only. So number of plants, human beings that will be taken the food. So drugs and medicines also, because nowadays a lot of plants are producing the drugs and medicines. For example, we discuss here the some of the drugs and medicines also. 75% of the world's population depend upon the plants for the drugs. This is called the Ayurveda medicines also. Here is the one of the drug, penicillin. This penicillin already is a very good antibiotic used for the everybody. So that is coming from the one of the fungus. So means is a fungus containing the one of the ecosystem will be or diversity is developed. So from that this will be isolated. Is a Penicillium glaucum. That is the a fungus material. This penicillin will be isolated. Tetracyclines will be isolated from the different sources bacteria. And quinine, one of the plant bark, cinchona plant bark, one of the alkaloid will be isolated. That is called the cinchona, a quinine alkaloid that will be mostly used for the anti-malarial drug. So means a lot of products are giving and we are consuming. Lot of products are giving from the different ecosystems or diversities that will be consumed by the human beings is coming under the category of the consumptive value. So these are the some of the examples only explained. It is the some of the two vincristine and vinblastine. These are the two very good anti-cancer compounds isolated from the Vinca rosea periwinkle plant. But one of the important is there, if you a small quantity like a mgs of the compound coming from this plant, you take the tons of the plant material. So means a small amount is coming also very difficult. So that products will be very useful for the consumptive for the either health purpose. Now second value is the productive value. Productive value means simply say that one is the whatever products or items are coming from the biodiversities that will be commercially marketed or sold. Marketed or sold means simply say that their business purpose is called the productive value. So values are in the terms of the marketed and sold. This here the lot of examples are given. The animal products like tusks of elephants and musk from deer, silk from silkworm, and whatever the wool from the sheep and goats. These are all coming from the different ecosystems or different biodiversities that will be marketed and sold. So that is called the productive value. Here is the one of the another example given, the calabar bean. So calabar bean is a one of the endemic plants that will be available in India. Available in Africa. So in endemic plant means that plant will be available only in that particular place, not available in anywhere in the world. So that is called the endemic plant. So that endemic plant generally traditionally used for the poisonous West African to the humans. So means in that plant containing the one of the alkaloid will be there, that once that alkaloid will be consumed, so humans will be die. So that is will be used as a poison. So here is the as a productive. That product is coming from that plant. That product will be used for the either solding in different purposes. So one of the daisy plants, these are also used for the lycee remedy and Middle East and later the discovery. So for the pyrethrum, already we know mosquito coils mainly containing the one of the chemical, that is the pyrethrum. So that will be chemical that will be sold in the market also. Is already in the previous slide we discussed about the bacterium Bacillus thuringiensis, one of the toxic proteins is isolated from that bacteria, and that will be utilized for the gene modification like plant. For the purpose is the kills the keratin insects. That will be protection of the that plant materials. This so means many industries are dependent upon the productive use values of the biodiversity. Now is the social value. Is a coming third value is the social value. Is that these are values are associated with the social life, religion and spiritual aspects of the people. So means so some of the people, most of the people will be considered as the scared in India also. Some people like a tulasi, mango leaves, banana leaves will be worshipped, that one. is the plants used at the worship purpose. Means is the social value, that one. That will be mostly related to the social life, religion life, and a spiritual life. That diversity is producing this type of values. So animals also, some will be worship, that one. So this biodiversity has distinct social value attached with the different societies. So different societies are following the different their traditions. For that will be adapted for this type of social value. Aesthetic value. Aesthetic means simply say is the whatever is the visit some places. So ecosystems are providing the vast and visit vast stretches and lands, enjoy to the visible life, because is the, for example, we are going to the enjoyment purpose, means is that place, either that ecosystem, that diversity will be time, money to wildlife areas, enjoy for the aesthetic value. So this is also called the ecotourism. So ecotourism generally generate the more income for that either state or country. For that one, nearly here the mention is the $12 billion of the revenue annually, that roughly gives the aesthetic value of the biodiversity. So means this is coming under the aesthetic value. So means different biodiversities are giving different values, either consumptive value or productive value or social value or aesthetic value or any other value that is coming from the different biodiversities containing the ecosystems only. So another one is the ethical value. This is also very important, that one. The ethical value means human beings may or may not use that species, knowing very fact that species exist in the nature giving the pleasure. So means you can use or may not use. Once you see that some of the species, immediately lot of pleasure or peaceness is coming to anywhere, that one. So means that is called the ethical value. So it is also sometimes known as the existence value also. It involves the ethical issues like all life must be preserved. Once the all life must be preserved, then only this type of ethical value or nature giving the pleasure. So it is based on the concept of the live and let live. So means if you want to our human race to survive, whatever, though we must to protect the all biodiversities. So then only biodiversity values are we can either consuming or marketing, holding or social life using or aesthetic value or enjoying purpose or ethical value. So means we protect or must protect the all biodiversities. Now coming to the another small topic is the threats to the biodiversity. So why biodiversity will be threatened happening? So here the biodiversity threatened mostly by the anthropogenic activities. Anthropogenic means human activities, not other activities. Mostly is the anthropogenic means human activities in the any different ways, like is the unplanned development and habitat destruction. For example, without planning you are going to construct the some places that is going to the biodiversity threat will be takes place. Poaching means is the killing of the animals and harmful to the animals and destroy that places is coming under the what one is the poaching. Destruction of forest. So if the forest will be destructed, forest ecosystem, forest diversity will be damaged. So whatever animals, plants, microorganisms will be living in that place, total will be damaged. Overhunting. So hunting also reason for the threats to the biodiversity. Is a conversion of wetlands and grasslands into the industrialization. Once the wetlands and grasslands will be converted to the industry's purpose, also may mostly lead to the biodiversity threats will be happen. And environmental pollution. This is also is the human activities. We are using the lot of automobiles and industrialization. The lot of gases will be releasing into the atmosphere. In that pollution also is a biodiversity threaten will be happen. Global climate change. Once the climate change means either ocean currents and salinity of the temperature and global warming and ozone layer destruction. These are also major is the reasons for the threats to the biodiversity. And invasion by the introduced species. So what is the meaning of the invasion by introduced species? Means any new species are coming into the diversity or ecosystem. So if whatever the in between that species, some of the fighting, whatever is the not correlation, then that species will be not exist. So it means that threaten will be happen. So when that will happen, when the new species will be introduced in the an ecosystem or diversity. Natural nature of legal systems, whatever is the laws are not followed, that one. Mining, when the more mining also cause for the threats to the biodiversity. Exploitation of water resources, is the more water will be exploitation, either groundwater or surface water. In the ground, substance will be increased and water table will be decreased. So more ground substance will be increased means is the ground, whatever is the earth texture will be changed. Is there either soil erosion or deforestation? These are all will be one are causes for that one. Thus, eutrophication. Eutrophication means when the more fertilizers, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium are used for the agriculture purpose, that more excessive nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, that will be reached in the water bodies. Water slowly reached in the water bodies. In the water bodies will be grow like algae, fungi, and water color will be changed. That total is coming under the category of the eutrophication. So waste disposable is the when the waste will be disposable, either water and landfills, also causes for the biodiversity will be threatening. So here is the another one is the habitat loss, also major cause for the species or diversity will be extinction. So now we can, what are the major causes for the biodiversity threatening? So here the three major causes. First one is the loss of the habitat, poaching already we discussed, is the man-wildlife conflict. Is a loss of habitat means, for example, destruction and loss of natural habitat. For example, reduce the space. So reduction of the amount of space available for the species, very difficult. For example, a classroom, a seat is the 50 members is freely sit and listen carefully. If for example in the classroom more than 100 students are sitting, so that is inconvenient and a lot of noise will be coming. So same example here also is the reduce the amount of space for species in that particular area. So automatically in between the lot of fighting, whatever is the happen, immediately that is a threatening of the biodiversity. That biodiversity will be slowly extinction happen and threatening will be takes place. That is the loss of habitat. So here is the forest, grasslands, and that will be slowly degraded to the or converted to the agriculture lands. For example, a forest is slowly converted to the agriculture land means the forest land will be decreasing, slowly decreasing. Slowly decreasing means that in that place, that area will be not sufficient for whatever animals and microorganisms, whatever plants, not will be surviving in that one. Slowly that biodiversity will be threatened, will be happen. That is called the whatever is a loss of habitat. So now coming to the poaching, already illegal trade of wildlife products and killing of the animals and trading and solding that whatever products, different animals and plants. So that is called the poaching. So this will be illegal, that one. So man-wildlife conflicts means is the conflicts are coming from the some of the man and wildlife conflicts. So like here the some of the examples are given. When that one happen, in example is the case studies in Sambalpur, Orissa, 195 humans were killed in the 5 years by elephants. So in relation, villagers killed 98 elephants and badly injured 30 elephants. So why these are coming means when these elephants, whatever animals are coming to the agriculture crops are damaged, when that place, immediately humans are killed that whatever animals. So means these are coming under the category of the man-wildlife conflicts. So here the man-elephant conflicts in this region has arisen because of the massive damage done by the elephants to the farmers' cotton and sugarcane crops. So when the elephants are damaged by the cotton crop and sugarcane crops, then human beings will be whatever is the kill the elephants. So that is called the man-wildlife conflicts. So in this presentation we discussed about the biodiversity classifications, values of the biodiversity, and then what are the threats for the biodiversity. So these are all discussed in the lecture. So next lecture we discuss about the noise pollution. Thanking you.